Hello everyone, I am Harris, welcome to AutoLab. In July last year, I drove the ONVO L90 in the mountain roads of Chongli and spent a very pleasant 2 days. Today, I'm on the mountain roads of Lijiang, to see if the ONVO L80, the version without the third row, can surprise us. Compared to the wide open roads of Chongli, the mountain road in Lijiang will be more winding and tortuous. So for this big 5-seat SUV with a length of more than 5.1 m, it does bring some challenges, but I'm driving this car for only over an hour. I can already be completely at ease, and even confident to push it through corners with proper speed and rhythm. It can give you tremendous confidence. I think among SUVs of this size, it is a very unique existence. The source of this confidence mainly has the following 3 points. The first is the weight of the car. Although this car is a standard large SUV, it actually weighs only about 2.3 tons. Now, cars of similar size on the market basically weigh maybe 2.7 or 2.8 tons, which are very common numbers. So the lower weight can bring a more controllable feeling. And since this is the 5-seat version, compared to the 3-row L90, we've eliminated the third row. So there's also a reduction in rear end weight. The second is the steering, brakes, and accelerator. The overall driving feel is very linear and refined, and you can actually control the car very precisely. In some SUV models of this size, to be honest, they can feel a bit sluggish. They are more likely to pursue a comfort of their understanding, but they don't place as much value on the kind of comfort that comes from effortless, intuitive handling. And this is also the biggest standout feature of the ONVO L80's dynamic performance. Third, it's about the body control. Although it doesn't use a complicated suspension structure or dampers, it achieves body control that's quick, responsive, and it won't make you feel very flustered or swaying left and right. I'm not really suggesting you drive such a car on such a mountain road and push it to the absolute limit through every corner. That was never the design intention. I think the real value of this kind of dynamic behavior is that, as a car that may be used frequently for self-driving tours, during your self-driving trip, you often encounter such road conditions, so you can be more comfortable then instead of being very flustered to drive these dozens of kilometers. But of course, the dynamic is not the core of the ONVO L80, because it is not much different from the L90. They have the same power parameters and the same underbody. It also gets the same upgraded hardware package LiDAR and the Shenji NX9031 chip, and NWM 2.0 driver assist hardware. At most, the slightly lower curb weight might bring marginal differences in dynamics and energy consumption. The real core value of this car comes from the changes created by removing the third row. The first change is emotional. Unlike the 3 rows homey feel, the 5-seat version focuses on premium refinement. And that's exactly the personality the ONVO L80 presents. It has blackened wheel arches, new 6-spoke style wheels and exclusive car paint and interior colors. For example, the model we are driving today, its interior uses a very unique yellow color. I can say that I have rarely seen such an interior color in any production car. It is said that its inspiration comes from the early Osman thus. It is obvious that, compared to the coziness of L90 brown and off-white, this color reflects more of a sensibility. Of course, a large space is just the foundation. The real question is how you unlock more possibilities from that space to enrich your ownership experience. Let me give you an example. A 2-row bed function like this now, which is not a very rare function. Adding a mattress to make a flat bed. But in this car, there are some special designs. For example, the custom mattress is segmented. So when you recline the 2nd row backrest to this angle, it becomes a sofa bed, perfect for lying back and enjoying the view. Meanwhile, there is also a section here. You can still access the trunk expansion area to retrieve items even when the bed mode is set up. The second point is that, as this car has an oversized 240-liter front trunk, that is to say that in your daily driving, or when you are on a road trip, you can completely drive this car out in this state, and at the same time put all your luggage in these 2 very accessible spaces. I think it might be in this function. This car is very unique. Of course, the space released isn't all left to the trunk. The back row also gets a little, so compared to the 7-seat version of the L90, the already good 2nd row space has increased by a few centimeters. The second point is the change on a rational level, which is easy to understand. That is the extra space released after the third row is removed. Let me start with a very exaggerated number. When fully occupied, the trunk has a capacity of 1,200 liters, which is basically the same as the volume of a trunk with the second row down. Meanwhile, it also has two partitions below, and these two partitions can be easily supported there. So it's more convenient for you to access items and organize things at different sizes. Meanwhile, in this trunk, there are also many thoughtful little details. For example, you can lower the ride height with one touch and adjust the rear seats from here. There will be some small anchor points on it, which can be used for expansion. And at this position, there is a small magnetic pad, where you can place items like teacups. There is also a 220V power supply, so it can be said that it maximizes the use of the trunk space. Actually, before I test drove this car today, I also had the same question as probably many of you. If the car was a little shorter, would it have better universality? Because it can become more flexible. But after experiencing it today, I found that keeping the dimensions was probably the right decision. First, the massive trunk truly creates more possibilities and gives it an irreplaceable position in the market. And second, if it were a little shorter I wouldn't fit in second row bed mode. Okay, thank you for watching this episode of AutoLab. I am Harris. See you in the next one.